The future isn't coming, it's here. We stand at the crossroads of ancient wisdom and cutting edge innovation, stepping into our highest potential. This is the golden age, and every one of us has a role in shaping what comes next. I'm Dr. Tia Kansara. Welcome to Together We Rise. We are living through profound cosmic shifts. Humanity is awakening, aligning with forces greater than ourselves, sparking creativity, connection, and collaboration. This is not a time of uncertainty. It's a time of power. In Together We Rise, we bring you the voices redefining our era. Visionaries, creators, heart-centered leaders. This is where sovereignty, regeneration, and unity take center stage. We are the change. Decisions made today will echo for generations. This is your invitation to be part of the conversation, to shape the solutions, to co-create the future. Join us on Unite.live for Together We Rise, because the world doesn't just need change, it needs you. We're here, we're ready, together we rise. Welcome to Together We Rise, a series dedicated to unity consciousness, a collective rite of passage. I'm your host, Dr. Tia Kansara, and this series is brought to you by Unite.live, a multimedia platform that promotes personal sovereignty and Replenish Earth, a cause and a collective action to protect the global commons, the natural resources we all share. It's a pleasure to have the Radhika Das with us today. Radhika is a global kirtan artist and bhakti yoga teacher and author. I met him on my birthday this year. My personal trainer Bhishma introduced Radhika's kirtan to me and recommended that I attend in person. My life has forever changed. Radhika shared beautiful music, mantras, meditation. And before I knew it, I was crying and laughing and stepped into a form of bliss I truly have not felt in a long time. Radhika Das, welcome to Together
Thank
We
you.
Rise.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm grateful to be with you and all of your listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Is what I experience in your kirtan common?
Um, Not because it's me, but yes, it's very common. It's something that I think people are not only yearning for, but also wanting to share far and wide this experience of feeling deeply connected and deeply moved. We're looking for it in all the things of this world almost. We want to be connected. And so to be connected to a divine source, if I can dare say it, is something that we're all looking for. And yeah, very common, but not because of me, but because I think the practice and the mantras and the divine sound vibration is universal.
Wow, that's beautiful. We've heard a lot of different kinds of yogas, hatha yoga, ashtanga yoga, tri yoga, like the physical places where yoga has moved away from more of its spiritual basis and has entered the Western world, maybe of a little bit more sports type of yoga.
Hmm.
But the form of yoga that you are teaching is called bhakti yoga. Um,
Yeah.
and I'd love to have our audience learn a little bit more about Bhakti Yoga from you, and also how that might contribute to a sense of unity and collective consciousness in today's world.
Yeah, Bhakti Yoga in its essence is a practice which encourages us to connect, to yoke onto, to bind ourselves in loving devotion to the Supreme, with devotion, with love to the Supreme. And it's a practice which is usually mostly known for chanting practices, for practices in which we can dovetail everything in devotion. And how this is bringing together a collective rise in consciousness is by getting people to understand that they are more than this body in their essence. It's about tapping into the true self. And as a result, that identity in and of itself is not just the goal. It's not to realize only that you're the soul, but that that soul is deeply linked and intimately linked with divinity. And so I think that by practicing bhakti yoga, by engaging with bhakti yoga, you realize who you truly are. And in so doing, you try to connect that essence with the supreme. And okay, let's make this more practical. When we realize that we're not this body, we realize that every single human being, every living entity is part and parcel of a divine grace. And that way it eliminates the worldly problems of discrimination based on the body, nationality and wars, killing of animals. These things become clear that, okay, well, if I'm a spiritual being and everyone else is a spiritual, everything else is a spiritual being, then that should be used for the purpose of glorifying, of connecting with divinity. And so that's the way in which it can collectively rise consciousness across the world.
Yeah, it's amazing because when I attended the kirtan, I didn't know what I was expecting. I'm born a Hindu. Bhakti, kirtans, bhajans are kind of integrated into our lives.
Mm,
Um, I really love the way that you've innovated that, and I love the way that in the experience of holding a container, and I really do believe that the facilitator is also part of that circle instead of the head of the circle necessarily, really
wonderful.
moves beyond that concept of leadership to kind of empowerment, where it's more about empowering a group of people, whoever it may be, from wherever it is that they come from, whatever walk of life. And I feel that there is a time right now for a level of healing that we're going through, whether it's the grief that we're experiencing, maybe in our lives, or by watching TV and seeing that other people are going through that. Would you say that kirtan is a kind of sound healing?
I think so. And it's funny because when you look at it from the outside and it's your first experience perhaps of hearing or seeing what's going on, it can be often perceived as a form of Hindu karaoke. You might even walk past the window. You might walk past the window and think, what is going on in this room? It feels so far-fetched and looks so strange and looks so otherworldly. And even when you sit in a kirtan, you'll look left and right pensively and think, why are these people swaying and eyes closed? And some of them are dancing, some of them are crying. And it's definitely a bewildering experience if you haven't been held by the hand safely in that space and explained what's about to happen. But what it's doing in its essence is really bringing about this idea that by chanting, by audibly hearing the sound vibration, by engaging with this transcendental sound vibration, what we're doing is we're elevating our consciousness. Just like we have a song for everything, right? We have a song for when we're in love. We have
Mm,
a song for when we're at the gym. We have a
right.
song for when someone's done something to us that's frustrated us or angered us, or we have a song for when we're deeply happy.
Mm,
Everyone's got different playlists for different types. But what about the playlist for the soul?
mm,
What awakens the true self? And you might think, well, how is it possible that these sound vibrations that are quote unquote material by the outward perspective, how can they affect the inner world? Well, in the same way that we understand that frequencies and sound affect our body, we can understand it affects our mental well-being. It also affects the soul. The sound vibration that is of mantras, ancient sound vibrations, they can affect the soul as well. So it's one of those things where you have to just test it and try it and see what happens. But in the most part, you'll see that an elevation of consciousness is possible from your ordinary awareness, you'll be elevated to thinking about spiritual subject matters simply by chanting. So that's been an experience of mine that's quite interesting.
That's amazing because your book on mantra meditation goes into the depth of this. And
Yeah,
it's
here it is.
here it is. Oh, one time. Oh, there we go. It like if you were to take the almost like the hope that you have for humanity that will take away, this message of mantra meditation. What are you hoping that that message will be from the book?
Yeah, I think there's many messages, but I think at the core, it would be to realize that yes, we are different and we're unique, and we can all connect with divinity in our own way, but at the same time, try to see that we're collectively on this path, that we may have different etched paths. Some may call divinity Krishna, others may call Allah, others may call Jehovah, others may call, I'm trying to think of the Spanish word for God. But, there's different names for this
Oh, Dios.
same, yes, for the same supreme, and that we understand that the pursuit of this lifetime is very similar. Some of us may not even be looking for God. Some of us may be just looking for deep self-realization. And
Yeah.
that should be commended because maybe people aren't looking for that nth degree. Maybe people are just looking for more self-awareness. And
Yeah,
so just by acknowledging one another more lovingly is maybe the essence of the book, and how one can become of service in that mission, and how one can become understanding of yeah, the supreme goal of this life, but then at the
absolutely.
same time not judging others for not having the same path as
A
you.
different path, whatever that may
Yeah.
be. There's
Yeah.
a form, like I love what you said about devotion, and that you're that that this is kind of the journey of the I love that the playlist of the spirit and the soul, right? What's the playlist
Mm,
of spiritual realization or self-realization or devotion? And it
mm,
feels very much like this is a time, and I'd love your perspective on it, that is actually awakening us to transcendental love or something that goes beyond just the I love you, you love me, we're a very big happy family.
yeah.
Something beyond, there's something beyond, and perhaps it is, as you said, it's that realization of the soul and the realization that the soul is on this path and this, the deepening of what is effectively uh, not just a realization, but an
Mm,
experiencing. It's one thing to think of something and it clicks in your mind.
mm,
It's an entirely different thing when you're embodied in that experience and you bridge the mental, the physical,
yeah.
spiritual aspect. And so there is
Yeah.
a deep amount of work there. I want to call it play
Yeah.
because it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be hard work sitting in a library, but there's something that's
Well,
joyful that comes through,
yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, it's two-sided. I think that you're completely right in that it can be joyful, it can be playful, and chanting is that. It's that, mm, it can be seen as something really superfluous and not needed and joyous, etc. But at the same time, it's a discipline. Like there's some days, I mean, some days, there's most days where I wake up a complete atheist and have to start again.
Wow.
And putting in the time to chant, putting in the time to fix the consciousness on this transcendental sound. It's fun in the initial stages, but I think it becomes more of a what we call a sadhana, a daily practice. And there's many kirtans where everyone's jumping off the walls, high on mantra. But I'm sitting there very much in a sober mood where my mind is still very much yearning for a connection, and maybe didn't receive what I was expecting, and that's okay. I think that too often, all right, here's a quote for you. Too
Mhm.
often we find that the pain of discipline is uncomfortable. To commit to a path, to commit to a practice, it's uncomfortable. But the pain of regret, of not having experienced deep spiritual realization, or not even had any deep experiences or spiritual experiences, that pain, I would say, is unbearable.
Mhm.
So, yeah, of course, it's joyous, and for the most part, it is very fun. But it's
Mhm.
also a practice, and it's also a sadhana that I think, if we all just gone had a step beyond what's pleasurable, and just engaging in what we think is just going to bring us the quickest and uh, greatest amount of pleasure, but saw the deeper essence of what this life was about, I think that we'd be living a more peaceful lifestyle. I think people reject discipline because it's uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
what about the pain of regret of not having experienced, what
Right.
this mind, body, and soul has to offer? That pain, I would say, is unbearable.
It's something that people tend to find later on in life when
Yeah,
they realize their own mortality. And it could be, in conversation with friends when somebody goes through a really dark experience, a very almost like a kind of like a out of body or a realization that life could end tomorrow, and I've never really thought about it. So there's this
right.
wonderful question when I was at Burning Man that a friend of mine wanted to show me in a little exhibit, and it was, before I die, I want to. And then the entire exhibit just had pens, and you could write whatever you wanted to. And
Mm,
I just couldn't stop crying and reading what people had written.
mm,
And some of those things, before I die, I want to tell my dad that I love him.
mm,
Wow, because you haven't, or because this
mm.
is like a realization that this is something that's so important to me. Before
Yeah.
I die, I want to. And it was like this, as you call it, like the pain of regret. This was like a wall almost of regrets because
Wow.
it was all the things that people wanted to do but hadn't had
Mm,
the opportunity or the goal to do it because they
yeah.
hadn't realized that maybe tomorrow could be the last day. And as
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said, there is the realization that something so imminent and yet so impossible to define, which is death, the
Mm,
other side, right? And within
mm.
this concept of whatever life is, there's a dash, and that dash is really beautifully explained by the musicians, the Sons of Serendip, and they have this concept where on a tombstone you have the date that you're born, a date that you die, and then a dash in the middle, which is a
And
born
that's life.
in 1983,
Mm.
died in whatever, yeah. And that dash is the entire experience of you and your life and what you did in that time, what you were in that time. And when you look at regret and many of the studies that have done or little survey going to the cancer ward just as people are in palliative care and about to die, and they get this message which is like, what was it that you would have wanted to have done, and what is your message to others? And it's like, I just didn't love enough, or I
The most amazing thing, Tia, is that we see death happening all around us, but we never think it's going to happen to us. It's just
how
inconceivable. It's the most amazing thing in the world. It's actually, this is something that's taken from a conversation between the personification of death in the Vedas and Yudhishthira Maharaj. They're having a combo. Imagine talking to death.
no my God, well,
And
yeah,
Yudhishthira Maharaj, who's this amazing king, he tells death, he says, the most amazing thing is that we see death all around us, but we never think it's going to happen to us. And we make plans upon plans. Like if I were to give you 86,400 pounds from my account to yours, I'm not very wealthy, but I'm feeling inspired. You'd come up with all sorts of plans of what you do with that money.
right.
You'd invest it. You'd spend it on a nice, I don't know, wardrobe.
Yeah.
You'd buy your parents something nice or your partner something nice, or you'd have different ways in which you spent it.
Right.
And if I were to just change the units from pounds to seconds,
Hmm.
86,400 is the amount of seconds we get in one day. And
Mm,
yet, when we think about how we're using that time, and I'm not talking about scheduling our time, I'm
mm,
just thinking about how much time have we spent not in the deepest pursuits?
mm.
And could we commit more time? That's my point, that we don't know when it's going to come. JFK didn't know when it was coming.
Right. Right.
MJ, Michael Jackson, didn't know when it was coming.
No, no,
Elvis didn't know when it was coming.
no.
And yet we still don't think it's coming for us. And
Yeah.
so we've got this human form of life. We've got this amazing ability to cognitively understand the spiritual. We've got this mind, we've got this body, we've got an understanding of the soul. Even if you're listening to this right now, you have a soul in your body that's awaiting your attention. You've got a bird within this cage that's awaiting your attention, and there is bliss awaiting that connection. If you can pierce the layers of the body and the mind, and try to realize that you're a spiritual being in your essence, having a material experience, if you can pierce beyond to understand that you're a spiritual being having a material experience, then there's so much joy waiting for you at the end of that realization. there's so much opening of awareness when that realization comes. You'll see everyone totally differently. It's like putting beer goggles on or spiritual
Big
goggles on,
bubbles.
and you see everyone with completely different eyes. You see the world from what it was before as something that's spiritual. What do I mean by spiritual? I don't mean something woo-woo. I mean beyond the material,
Mm,
beyond matter. There is an essence behind every living thing.
mm,
And that essence is not for us to be using. It's not for us to use anything that's pretty and beautiful,
mm.
but to try and see in such a way that this is a child of divinity. And my purpose is to try and serve with, or to serve with this living entity. Um, I went off on one. Death
No, it
does
was
that.
beautiful, and I wasn't going to stop you. I love what you said. I love what you said about the bird in the cage because the human body represents this
Yeah.
the imprisonment really of something that is so eternal. And for someone who, can maybe is sitting in prison, right? And or imprisoned, can have that sense of not being locally there, like bound by the rules and the regulations and the concepts of whatever that prison may be. And
Mm.
and very similarly, some of the work that I would love to do in the future as well is to go into physical prisons and actually help people to see that that imprisonment that we believe is punishment to humanity is effectively what we're all in. It's a
Yeah.
common experience for all of
Yeah.
us that we are in and within this deep and profound realization, a moment that we can take, like you said so eloquently, that we can, that we can go somewhere else effectively.
Yeah.
Where is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
somewhere else? And how
Yeah.
can individuals create their own lives so that they are in this support of the bird freeing itself from that cage? Because
Yeah.
as you said yourself, you may wake up and you feel agnostic or atheist or this really
Unsure about that world. Yeah.
how dare life treat humans like that or animals like that or how dare humans behave in such ways, and it's so easy to flick the on off switch of good and bad, and I feel as if we have to go beyond these judgments because these judgments limit us to this cage has
Yeah.
judgments, and when
And
you
I think that
decide,
it's
right,
not that we ha like when we talk about the bird freeing, I think often people think I need to drop everything.
right,
I need
let
to
it all
quit my
go.
job, let
Yes,
it all go. I need to shave my hair. I need to wear
become
the
a monk.
robes and I move into yeah, become a monk and live in an ashram in India. That's not the point of bhakti yoga. And that's what attracted me.
Okay.
That you can be a spiritualist in suit and tie.
Love
You
it.
can be a spiritualist with beard or with no hair. You
Mm.
can be a spiritualist as a man, a woman, a transgender person, someone who doesn't even understand their bodily form, because it's all about consciousness.
That's
It's
it.
all about awareness. Like, see, the mind is such an incredible thing, and not that we have to go into the science of it, but the
Mm.
mind has this ability to make us feel free, even though everything around us is closing in. The mind also has the ability to feel trapped, even though everything around you is free.
Mm.
Isn't it? Like you could be
Could be anywhere.
unlimitedly wealthy and
Absolutely.
still be trapped by the concept that everything's not right in your life.
That's
That's
it.
the consciousness, the mind and the awareness is trapping you. At the same time, if we can free our mind, free our consciousness through the medium of mantra,
Mm.
by it's as simple as hearing sound vibration. What we're hearing constantly is affecting this,
That's it.
the mind. And so by hearing sound vibration that's elevating our consciousness, we can be free, even though we may have everything else around us not looking very free according to what we think it is. Like we could be going to work with a completely loving consciousness. We could be waking up each day with our kids and playing with them, knowing that they're spiritual beings, knowing that they're the soul and they're on their journey and we're here to serve them. The whole construct of what we live changes just simply by the change of consciousness. And so I think that don't worry if what we're saying, what Tia and I are saying, and you're like, oh damn, I don't feel like I'm ready for being a free bird quite yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just add little bits of sound that will, and maybe mantra isn't for you. Maybe you feel that mantra isn't the sound vibration you want to add, but I want to encourage you to add conscious music, music that will help you to realize your true self.
Mhm. That's incredible that there's a frequency out there
There's a
that you can
frequency out there for
say,
you.
that's it, right? That's quotable. There's a frequency out there for you. And there is this meaning. So one of the things that I'm doing at the moment is your course,
Mm,
becoming a kirtan leader. And what I'm loving is that in the middle of so much of the musical theory that Kaylee and yourself are like teaching us the philosophy and the depth through which mantra adds meaning to your life. And in actual fact, for me, it's a form of realization in my life that is an integration. There are many
mm.
aspects of the course that I've come across in my various pattern walks of different locations. And after 90 countries of gallivanting around the world, I can I can definitely say that I've picked up random bits and bobs from everywhere. And I
Yeah,
feel your course is like this level of integration that anyone who is walking the path for the very first time and someone who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, ripped it up, turned it into a plastic bottle or whatever else they do with them. And
yeah,
it's like, it's like it's for a lot of different people that are almost coming to this concept of like all roads lead to Rome, all
yeah,
roads lead to this this moment in your life, which is, it opens you up, right?
yeah. And
And
that's exactly
feel,
what my life has been about, creating an accessible and relevant experiences of not only mantra, but self-realization and divine connection. And so whether that's in a concert setting where I entertain you with different mantras and music, and people can go and check that out on YouTube, or whether
yeah,
it's through the medium of a book, or
yes,
whether it's in the medium of a course, or whether
yeah,
it's in the medium of a retreat, I'm trying to create as many different access points for people who are at different stages in their consciousness, different stages in their life. And it's not to say I'm perfect. The whole point is that I'm trying to present myself as someone and be as honest and vulnerable as possible to realize that I'm sharing this in the knowledge that the message is incredible. It's changing my life, not changed fully. It's changing my life. And I just want to give that to you as well. That if you're listening to this and feeling like, you know what, I need a spiritual shake up, then maybe this is the answer for you.
I feel as if there is in there, and I'd love to ask you this,
Mm,
um, something by way of the experiences that you've had. What would you
mm.
say is your highest vision for humanity?
I think I'll probably give a different answer to this every time I hear that question. My highest vision for humanity right now is that we see each other on the spiritual platform, that we see each other not as bodies traversing this earth or trying to grab with greed, but we see each other as loving servitors of the same Supreme. That if we can just see that every single person is a spiritual being, they may not fully be realized of that, and that's cool, but I'm gonna love them for that. I'm gonna be kind to those people because I see the spiritual essence in them, regardless of the body, regardless of how they look, regardless of how they talk to me. If I can just acknowledge them, and even then, I know I'm gonna mess up, and I'm gonna get angry when someone cuts me up on the road and maybe swear at them. That's cool too. But if I can more often than not, or even just once a day, see people for their spiritual essence, that's my greatest vision at the moment.
That's beautiful.
Self-realization.
And let that be. Um, I know we're going to wrap up because we've had a wonderful,
We could do this all day.
look at it, totally. I could. But to be respectful of everyone's time, if the audience is interested in learning a little bit more about your work, of course, there is this wonderful book that they can get online. There's a kirtan course, like I'm doing right now, to lead kirtans, where you're teaching harmonium, mridanga, kartals, and of course, musical theory and the philosophy behind it, which is quite rare to find, all of these things in one place. And then there is, of course, the curtains, like the mind and heart and spirit blowing events that you're hosting. And of course, there's the Fridays at Om
A
and
lot to get involved in.
yeah, a lot to get involved in. And of course, I'll share your website, which is radhikadas.com. Is there anything else that anybody who's
No.
interested in really helping to support your mission, or whether it could donate, if there's a donate button?
No, no, don't worry about all that. Just come and chant with me. That's all I want. Come and give us a shot. You tried so many weird things and wonderful things to try and get happy in this world. Trust me, I know. But come and chant with me. Come and chant with me. I'm excited to meet each and every one of you. And yeah, thank you so much, Tia, for this wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Radhika.